YouTube, welcome back. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. In today's video, we're taking a little bit of a different approach. So, first of all, this is a scrim against Toronto. SCUUMP absolutely goes off. He drops like 52, 53, somewhere in that range on this map. It's relatively close, but of the 5 hardpoint maps that these two teams played, this is the only one that they lost. So rather than focus on like a 250 to 120 victory or something where they go off, I kind of wanted to talk in this video a little bit about the slight mistakes here or there that they make, that Chicago makes, that perhaps costed them this map. So just to run through it, they do lose this one. It is pretty close. And then over the course of the next 4 maps, Garrison, they won 250 to 192. Checkmate, they won 250 to 163. Moscow, 250 to 168. And Raid, 250 to 245. That Raid map was also really fun to watch. It was super intense. They played really well. It came down to one clutch over towards P4. They were able to make it happen, and they got that last map victory. But in this one, again, I don't want to talk so much throughout the entire time. I just want to focus on where they're at, what maybe they could have changed so that they could have made up 20 points, 30 points here or there. That would have been the difference in the map. So a little bit different today, but let's go ahead early. Let's listen in. I'll still pause it. I'll still break it down where I see like they might have made mistakes, could have done things differently, but I really do want to dive a little bit deeper into what happens today. So let's go ahead. Let's listen in Chicago's team comms as we're about to rotate over towards P3.
Front door, front, top cat, Vince. He might hit you out.
One more P1.
Yeah, we all spawned out. We all spawned out. They're spawning on you.
All right, I've been away for about 20 seconds, but I feel like I just have to say something right there. On the rotation over towards P3 to P4, they basically gave up the last 15-20 seconds of P2. They played for rotations, those back P4 spawns, so that they would have spawns for P3, have spawns for P4. And in that instance, they just didn't get it done in the slaying department, right? They were set up. SCUUMP was up top. Chicago had people over towards P3, and they just weren't able to get the kills. And sometimes that's what happens, right? You can talk about, you know, strategy and rotations and being set up and who's where in terms of power positions. But sometimes if you're there and you give up the time and you rotate and you don't get those kills, sometimes that's all it comes down to. And these are all pro players. They all obviously know how to shred. So in that regards, it is going to get a happen. And towards the end there, you saw SCUUMP over towards old P4 in that back spawn position. And again, they are fighting for these back spawns, which is good for the sake of trying to get time inside of P4. But the consequence, the result of that is that they weren't able to flip spawns and they gave up all that time inside of P3. So they basically just sold out for, we have to flip spawns. We're going to get P4 spawns so that we can come back once it comes to P4. And it just didn't happen that way. But let's go ahead. Let's listen back in.
No, we spawned.
Can me back.
I stepped in.
I'm 2P1.
I need a cross.
You're gonna watch the cross.
I got it. Right side cat. Dead. One more cat.
Cat bands. I didn't touch him. He's going in P3. P3 bands.
And P1.
I have the cross. Down there. I have the cross down the hill. Okay. P1, Cammy, weak.
Cat.
Pants dead.
I'm working low right.
Cammy C1. Yo, cat, top cat, right cat, one shot. Right side cat, one shot. Play next.
Top new one shot. Top new one shot.
Phoenix still top cat. Right, or no, you killed him?
What are we hitting?
Nice, shoot him.
Cammy
Yeah,
hit
we can hit
one
time.
Cammy's weak in hill.
He got me. He got me low ice.
Low ice.
He jumped up in time.
Alright, I'll go. Help me, ice. Who's the guy?
Yeah, I got it. He went
I
bottom.
killed one of us.
I'm looking cat. Top cat, clean next week.
Right side or
Again, here's another decision. You heard them say, what are we hitting? What are we hitting? Off of spawns, they went and they tried to get time inside of P1. After they failed just one time, they were already down by 25, 30 points. After they failed, they decided, all right, we're going to give it up. Let's hit ice together. And that's another 30 seconds that comes off the clock. I mean, and again, bad part of that is they basically sold out. They gave up 30 seconds to try to flip for P2, which if it works out, that's great. But if you start to do that 2 times in a map and it doesn't work out, 3 times in a map and it doesn't work out, that's where you start to fall behind. So rather than just sticking with their initial instinct, and you know what, let's hit P1, let's just get 40, 45 seconds inside of P1 and try to counter the time that they can get inside of P2. And then now look, they finished that on P1. They were able to slay out. Now they're in P2. So they basically gave away 30, 35 seconds or so just trying to flip, and they weren't successful. Let's go. Let's listen back in.
Looking back up still.
Only
Back up,
P1.
guys. Back up.
Low left.
Watch
Low left.
out,
Cammy.
low left,
Low
watch out,
left. Cammy.
Cammy.
Two low
One
left. Two
back
low
up.
left. Hat's open.
Nice.
And barrel door, barrel door.
Yeah,
I
barrel
spawn
door,
out.
barrel
I spawn out. You should
Wait,
rotate. You
you're
should rotate.
man?
I'll hit. Hold on.
Okay, okay, I will.
Cammy, Lake Charles.
many goals?
He's all time.
I'm up in your old stuff.
Cammy, hold
Cindy
dead.
back, Cindy back.
Pot.
I've read.
Nice, that's nice.
Right there.
Spawn
Spawn
P2,
on
spawn
me.
P2. You're dead. It's all
Yeah,
good. I'm
P2
pushing
on you.
P1. I'm pushing up
Hey,
P1,
baby,
guys.
big door. Yo, big door on you. Big door cam dead.
Big door, nice.
Yo,
Ban
I
sweep
have
barrels.
Anthony.
Ban sweep
I could
barrels.
cross.
Again, now I will say that challenge right there from SCUUMP, that challenge is tremendous. I love that. There was 20, 22, 23 seconds left inside of P3. Everybody else was rotating. SCUUMP was staying over towards P3, but Envoy, Formal, Dashy all had rotated. We're getting spawns for P3. SCUUMP decides, you know what, there's 22 seconds left. I'm just going to challenge. He's able to win the challenge, 2 challenges inside of P2, and that's like a 20-point swing at least, right? The fact that he basically took 10 points away from Toronto and he gained those 10 points for his squad, that's at least a 20-point swing. Again, that's another one of those things. You do that 2 or 3 times throughout the course of a map, now you can steal that map. You can potentially win that map. So that's a fantastic play. They're almost back in it now. There's 18 seconds left inside of P3. Don't necessarily want to give away a ton of this time, but I like the fact that they're playing for the setup for P4. As long as they can hold it, now they're in position to come back and gain a lead on this map.
Mid door, one shot. I'm watching my cam, bro. One's
One
going left, one's
shot,
going P1, one's going P1.
One
I have
shot
P1
fences,
push.
Vance.
P1 push, then.
P1 dead. One more cat.
Out
I
back
spawned
door,
out.
bro.
And then they get team wiped and spawn out.
P1's in it. Got me. I don't know. I didn't know what
I'm
was
gonna
going
go
on
left.
right there, man.
I was on shot
I
3
had
times.
no idea what was going on right there.
There.
Close back door,
everywhere.
one shot.
Shot on time, bro. Throw a shot at this.
I don't see the kid back door.
Yeah, no. They have one trophy.
Nadine overtime.
I
I
don't
just
see
shot one of
fences.
the
Hey, one in the back.
trophies.
Nice, I'm
Hey,
helping.
one shot fences. There's only one time. They have trophy too.
Damn
You
it.
see the trophy right there? There's
I tried
trophy on
blowing it
the
up. I tried
Close up
blowing
that.
it up.
One more fences. Fences in time. We hit into cat. Fences hit into cat.
I'm throwing shit.
I'll help in P3.
Cast
I'll
off
see him
peeking
P3.
out.
He shot me. P3.
So right now, it just feels like it's one of those maps where, all right, they got off on the wrong foot. They start to claw their way back in it, and then something doesn't go their way. They lose spawns for P4. Now the lead is back up to 50, 60 points. They'll start to crawl their way back in it again, and it's just not quite enough, right? It's first map that they've played of the day in terms of scrims, and it just seems like they're struggling to get caught up where they need to be.
I need help.
The low
Left
left,
is
low left,
open,
dead
left
Low
low
is
left
left.
and one outer by hill.
Yeah, I'm one shot. I'm one shot.
Outer P1, bro.
I'll look outer hill. I'll look outer P1. I'll look outer P1 over you.
We're not time,
I
dead.
don't see matter.
You guys spawned
No,
out.
no,
I spawned out.
In the back, guys. Vance.
Outer Cammy dead.
In barrels, Vance.
No, I messed up my movement. He's going
barrels?
barrel
I
door,
spawned
barrel door.
parallel with one, I think.
Yep, definitely didn't.
Back right crates.
Barrel's
I
dead.
don't see parallel.
One more.
Still
Shit,
far,
they
man.
got parallels. One's
I'm
in
gonna go
time.
cross
One's
that,
time and tires.
I
Time and
think
tires. We're spawning.
These
We're
guys
spawning
tires?
P2.
On
We're
top
spawning
clean next
P2.
week. On top clean next week.
I'm one cap.
Cindy, one shot crane. Absolute crane.
What you're seeing right here is kind of the exact opposite of what we saw the first rotation. So the first set of rotations, when they tried to rotate over towards P2, they ended up giving up time inside of P1 and not having spawns for P2. Now it's the exact opposite. They were able to flip off the rip, and now it's working for them, right? They were able to flip for P2 and then slay out and work their way back into P1 to get time. So this is what they're constantly trying to do. Doesn't always work out that way, but in this instance, this is how they want to play it every time. It's a gamble. Sometimes it works out, and sometimes it won't.
Back cat.
All right, here
He
you
Hey,
go.
jumped on me. He's still
I
up there,
got
still
Vance dead. Low left any week.
On
He's going
time,
ice.
clean X. One back door.
Two ice. Another one behind him.
SCUUMP is shredding, by the way.
I'm in P1. I have P1.
I don't see them low ice. I don't
One
see
is
them
left
low ice.
100%. One
Shot
is
me. He
100%.
hurt him.
P1 Vance dead.
He went back out.
I should up. P1 on me again. P1 on me again, guys. Right now, Kleenex. 2P1. One's going close barrel door. One's outer.
I'm looking barrel door.
Just
Nice.
soaking this.
No. Kleenex is closer than that.
Absolutely dead.
Hit him.
I'm on a 5.
I'm gonna hit left, guys. I'm gonna go hit left.
Top cat,
Bottom
top
in,
cat,
bottom
Cammy.
in, Vance. Bottom in, Vance.
Cammy dead. I'm on a 6. I'm on a 6.
I'm in left.
Clear Get a
They can
spawn
start toward the
roll.
back in a second. I'm getting in the
I'm
back.
one outer,
really
another
close
one
to
in new.
streaks.
Drop down here, Dill.
He's a new.
Yo,
Spawn out old.
fences.
Vent.
Dill, I need help.
Where's
Two
he
in
at?
spawn roll,
I don't
two
know.
in spawn roll,
I think
two
we're-
in-
I think
I'm
we're-
picking up cat.
Yo,
I have cat.
Where?
I'm
I think we're good. We're good. I think.
I got
Hey,
an
get out,
artillery.
get out.
One more. Fuck,
Yo,
bro.
low right. Bottom mid. Click sweep.
On
Bottom
time,
mid.
Cammy.
Nice. I
Bottom
spiked
mid.
back.
Sweep.
I have an
Bottom mid.
artillery. I have an
Yo,
artillery.
Victor,
Bottom mid, yeah,
Victor.
bottom mid.
I needed
Victor,
your
guys.
offers.
Close right.
Close right,
Okay,
close
okay,
right,
okay.
absolute, close right, absolute.
Dead. I'm weak. I'm weak. I'm weak.
I'm nade inside.
Cat
Guys,
pants,
spawn out,
cat
they're
pants,
spawning
cat
Q1,
pants.
they're spawning Q1.
Cat
He
pants,
got me
man,
from
dude,
back door.
spawn out. Cat pants. Spawn up too, dude. Good job.
Nice job.
I'm just full time
Weak
with you.
bans. Weak bans. Cat tail. I hit him
Body
twice.
time as well.
I have an artillery.
Cat
We can
guys,
break. We
cat
can
guys.
break with
Be
artillery.
outer.
Just make
Cat
sure we get
killed
some
me,
this time.
Vance.
Cat
Keep
pants,
on
pants
time.
dead. One more back door, cat.
Cat. Cat hurt.
Under
I'm
dead.
hitting right. Yo, one of us can go
Two
cat
more
late.
old. Two more old.
Go outer. Challenging.
Cat pants, cat
Phoenix
pants
hurt.
dead. Cat pants
Nice
dead.
one.
Turn on time.
They're gonna worry about cat, guys. Remember about cat.
Man's gonna push out mid.
Again, it has that same sort of feel, right? Claw their way back in. SCUUMP goes on a 7 spree. They're able to get rotations for P2, get time in P1, win all of the time inside of P2. SCUUMP has streaks. They're clawing their way back into it.
Someone go low ice.
Will it be enough?
I can go low ice.
Okay, we're just gonna have to break from. We're
Yeah,
gonna
we're
have to break right.
It's fine,
Yeah,
it's fine.
low ice, still ice train.
I'm streaking.
Ping
All
him,
right.
ping him.
All right, one's close back door. One's fences. One's hill. One's
Okay,
gonna be in
back door,
P3. One is gonna be in P3.
Back door, close right side. I think.
That's right.
I don't know where he went.
One
I don't know
fence
where
on
he
me.
went. I think one's close
Outside
right too.
fences.
Fence is dead.
He's
Fence
close
is
to
dead.
P3.
One got close back door,
Dead,
Three
dead,
dead.
dead.
Last guy.
Yeah,
I don't know where he's at.
Yeah, I
don't
need
know
a
where
trophy.
he's
I
at.
need a trophy.
I got a trophy.
I'm looking
P3.
right. Dill back right. I'm
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
over P1. I have P1, Brandon. I have P1.
I'm in cat. I'm in cat right now.
Did he weak P1? Did he still P1? There's two
Yo, one
P1s.
just went low. Low ice.
P1's in
Dead.
there.
Nice, good job.
One P1, I think. P1, I think.
Another one P3.
I think he's P3.
P3. Dead. One more P. No, cat.
Watch your cap.
And here, this is the power of somebody going on. Just one time, have somebody go on a 6 or 7 spree. Now you have streaks. They really have no business being in this map. They're able to bring it back. Now, can they win the rotation? They're going to get the rest of the time here. Can they win the critical gun battle going back towards P1? That's what this entire map comes down to.
I'm playing with you.
Back. He shot me under time. He's
Low
looking
mid's
under.
open.
Looking under
Yeah.
time.
On time, clean X, bro. He's weak.
I'm trying to just bully time.
And just with that right there, Kleenex gets a 2-piece on time. Methods gets a 2-piece. The numbers were insane. Everybody dropped positive 40. SCUUMP dropped 52 and 34. It's not that they played terrible. That was not a thing. Look at the damage numbers. SCUUMP almost gets 8K damage. I mean, he absolutely went off. It wasn't the fact that, you know, they weren't slaying, they weren't playing bad, whatever. It's just they made 1 or 2 decisions here trying to rotate it. It didn't end up working out for them. The second time it did, clawing their way back in, just not quite enough to get it done. And they fall in this map 218 to 250. Win the scrim overall 4-1, but drop this one. Just wanted to make sure that we were covering also a map where they played good, just not well enough to actually win the map. So if you guys are new around here, you enjoy this sort of stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave a like if you don't mind, as it really helps out and promotes the channel. And with that, thank you guys so much. We'll see you in tomorrow's upload.